Today on the Racetracks Motocross Show on LISports.com, we are a mile high here at the Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National in Lakewood, Colorado, which means I have less breath, which means this tease will be shorter. But I can tell you this, we'll talk to the Colorado boys, Eli Tomac and Andrew Short, about their chances of winning their home race. We'll also analyze the altitude, the return to daytime, rough track conditions, and the effect that electronic fuel injection might have at racing the altitude. All on the Racetracks Motocross Show, coming up next. Welcome to the Racetracks Motocross Show on LISports.com. Jason Wygant and Paul Lindsay back after we were both on hiatus for a couple of weeks, but well done for our hosts like Mathis and Aaron Normiles, Steve Cox, David Pingree, all helping us hold it down the last couple of weeks. And things have changed. In fact, it's not just like it was a couple of weeks ago. It's like it was a couple of years ago here in Colorado. We're going to have a day race for this Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National.
Yeah, back under the original light.
Yes.
The sunlight,
Yeah.
not the big lights. So the heat is definitely going to play a factor again this weekend, so we'll see what it's like. Been 2 years with the lights. Now we're back to daytime.
Yeah, and some people might forget how grueling this race was at a mile high of elevation and with the heat, and the track should presumably be rougher now that they don't have to worry about shadows.
Yeah, that was one of the things that the riders complained about. They didn't rip it really deep because of the lights. They were afraid it was going to get too rough, so it was a really fast pace the last couple of years. But if you recall, 05, 06, 07, a really rough, rutted, bumpy track, so I'm looking forward to that this weekend as well.
Yeah, so the true physical test here at Colorado will be back this weekend. Now let's talk about some of the contenders. In the 450 class, you have the collision of momentum. The momentum of Ryan Dungey obviously winning 3 of the last 4 rounds, but in addition, you've got Andrew Short, been surging lately, and this is his home race.
Yeah, Andrew is going to be looking to get his first win here. This guy standing behind us
Ben
trying to make us laugh here off camera.
You could not throw me off, Ben Townley.
He got to me, but we'll be looking for Ben to be
all
up there as well. But I think Andrew, as you said, is really going to be looking to get his first win right here in Colorado. Almost pulled it off last week with a 1-5, but Andrew's going to be looking to get that hometown win here.
All right, well, we had a chance to talk to Andrew Short about racing here in Colorado. Let's catch up with him.
I live in Texas now, but Colorado's home. My family's here, my friends are here. This is where I grew up. You know, I was 5 years old racing this track. So I've been here for a long time, and you know, Texas it's cool. It's really good for racing. It's centrally located. My wife's from there, and that aspect's cool. But this is home. I love it. Just driving up here from my parents' house brings back a lot of good memories. Like growing up racing up and down the Front Range of Colorado, and I see a lot of people that I spend a lot of Sundays with up here. So I like that aspect, and can't wait to race here every year. The fans are always really good to me here too.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Andrew Short. You know him well, Paul. Always known as a hard-working, hard-training guy who's always looking for that little bit of speed. But this year, the speed has not been the issue. Led a lot of laps, fast in qualifying, fastest lap of anyone at High Point. Staying power is the problem here. What's up?
Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to be the problem with Andrew. His whole career, it's sort of haunted him, that staying power, like you said. We all know he trains very, very hard, and we all know he now has the speed. In fact, has led the second most amount of laps compared to Ryan Dungey, yet he's sitting 5th in points. He just doesn't seem to be able to close. It's a mental fatigue, if you ask me. A lot of riders deal with this. A lot of fans don't know what it is. They assume they just need to work harder in the gym. Trust me, with Andrew Short, that's not the problem. And hopefully here in Colorado, the fans, that 11th man, if you will help him get through those last few laps and he can get his first overall.
Well, let's talk about the guys who will be putting the pressure on Andrew and trying to break him mentally. A couple riders are going to break through. Ben Townley, Josh Grant, Brett Metcalf, Mike Alessi. They're looking for those wins.
Yeah, I've been waiting for those guys. Like you said, Townley had one great moto last week and one bad moto with a bike problem. Josh Grant has always done well here, it seems like, at least in the 250 class. I know he's eager. Mike Alessi likes this place. Chad Reed, as you talked to him earlier, he overtrained coming into Budds Creek last week.
That's what he said, yeah.
So I think Chad Reed obviously hasn't done well here in the past, but if he doesn't do well and rebound this weekend, this championship could get away from him real quick.
All right, so Andrew Short's got the hometown crowd on his side. You get a lot of hungry guys going after it in the 450 class. Same thing in the 250 class, a lot of hungry riders, and one of them is also a hometown favorite. Let's talk to Eli Tomac.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Hangtown was awesome. Couldn't have gone better. And then, you know, in Texas, I kind of struggled with the heat. I think everyone did. You know, my first moto was good. I got second, but I ended up kind of bonking in the second one too. And then since then, you know, it's kind of been a roller coaster. You know, I've been kind of battling the humidity, I think, and, you know, just still getting in the groove of being a professional motocross racer.
Well, you know, basketball, when players go from college to the pros, they talk about them hitting the wall because you have to play twice as many games. Is that what's happening to Eli Tomac here? He's always fast. He's always in shape. We know that. But he's never had to deal with week in, week out racing.
Yeah, a little bit different in the pro ranks. You can only do so many 40-minute motos and run tanks of gas through your bike every week, but racing 40 minutes against the best in the world every week and then getting on the airplane and doing it again is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and remember, he pushed himself pretty hard in Texas, and he has not really been the same rider since getting really fatigued there. So we'll see if he can bounce back. Another thing, he is from Colorado, but you're saying he's not exactly a home track specialist like Ivan Tedesco or Andrew Short have been.
Yeah, Andrew and Ivan grew up racing on this track. Tomac is a Colorado guy, but has only logged a handful of races at this track for Loretta Lynn's qualifiers. I would say this is maybe his 4th or 5th race at this track if I had to guess. But never underestimate that hometown feel. I expect great things from Tomac this weekend.
Now, at the top of the series is Christophe Pourcel, and that's not really a surprise. A lot of people thought he would dominate this year, but each week he leaves the door open for someone else to win a moto and sometimes even an overall. So who are the guys you expect to run with Pourcel this weekend?
Well, Tyler Rattray, obviously, in this heat and this rough conditions, he has really been a pleasant surprise this year, and it's great to see Tyler up there in second place. By the way, only has led one lap, which we'll talk about in a moment. But
yeah.
Obviously, Jake Weimer, I expect to see him to get up there because he won his first race
That's right.
at this race last year. We're missing Trey Kennard. Justin Barcia has been getting closer to the front. I expect to see a win out of him anytime. So, like you said, the 250 class is going to be awesome this weekend.
Yeah, this could be the weekend that Trey Kennard finally gets up there in the victory lane like we've been waiting for. And let's talk about those laps led stats. The points and the laps led completely opposite of each other right now.
Yeah, similar to the 450 class, Tomac has led the most laps, even over Pourcel, yet he sits 7th in points. In contrast to that, Tyler Rattray, who's 2nd in points, has only led one lap for a very short distance in Texas.
Yeah, what, about 20, 30 feet he
Yeah.
led that lap. And let's not forget the guy he passed in Texas who now bounced back to win last week at Budds Creek, Dean Wilson. You just can't count that kid out at this point. He's one of the players.
Yeah, very, very deep field in the 250 class, and it's going to be an awesome race tomorrow.
We got one more feature for you here on the RacerX Motocross Show. We're going to take you on the lap of the track with Dan Reardon in our helmet cam on the Valley Motorsports Yamaha. All right, nice job, Dandy Dan Reardon. As you can see, a little bit of a revision of the layout here, some new jumps in this track, which has been on the tour since '05, so it should be fun.
Yeah, same basic layout, but they spiced it up a little bit this year. And as we talked about, daytime race, so they're going to rip it a lot deeper. I expect it to be really, really loamy and get really, really rough and rutted.
Now, that's a physical test for the riders, but also the machines. Remember, last time we used to race here in the daytime, bikes actually had the fuel boil, which I didn't even know happened. I don't know what the boiling point temperature-wise of fuel is, but they exceeded it.
Yeah, something about the altitude, the higher you are, the easier the boiling point is, and the heat combined, which it's unseasonably hot for us. Every year in Colorado, I don't know, something about this hillside. 90s, mid-90s for Colorado, okay. High 90s to lower 100s is unbelievable for Colorado, and that's what we've seen in the day races 05, 06, 07, and definitely had bikes boiling fuel. Now, the problem with the EFI, I don't think that's going to help. It still boils in the tank.
Yes.
So we're back to a day race. Some teams could have a problem with that.
Now, the weather forecast, I think, is only in the 80s, so even if fuel boiling isn't a problem, there is still a little bit of imbalance in the 250 class. Honda CRF 250Rs for 2010 of fuel injection. None of the bikes they're racing against do. Suzuki has one. Austin Stroop rides that. He's out hurt. Everybody else is running carbs.
Yeah, and as the race wears on, and that bike has to adjust, and that's what it's meant to do. So that could be an advantage for the Honda boys this weekend.
We'll have to watch that. And one other thing I want to ask you, we do have, of course, that 350 in the 450 field. All the bikes are going to lose power in the altitude. Is that a factor, or they all lose the same amount of power, and Mike will be where he is every other week?
I think it's irrelevant. I think
Yeah.
it's all the same. If they all lose 10%, then Mike loses 10%. So I think it's going to be a zero factor, personally.
Hey, remember, this is the guy that predicted Mike would get whole shots at Hangtown, and he did. So you never know. We'll be on TV tomorrow. That is Saturday night coverage, 11 p.m. Eastern of the 450 class. I believe the 250 show here from Thunder Valley will be on Monday. Join myself, David Bailey, and Aaron Bates for that, and everyone at Speed. And Paul Lindsay, going to be great racing. Good to have you back, man. And now we're in your home area.
I can't wait. Colorado, baby. Tomac and Short, go.
Here we go. And, of course, we'll have our wrap-up show on AllySports.com on Saturday night as well. Thanks for watching the RacerX Motocross Show. He's Paul Lindsay. I'm Jason Wygant.